There's an ancient story that was often shared by a famous Zen teacher to his students. And the story goes that there was a gateway, almost like a gateway to heaven, but the words were different. And in front of these gateways, there were gatekeepers. And their purpose was to check if a person is worthy to enter. So there came an artist to these gatekeepers, and they asked him if he can paint, and he created a magnificent painting, and they were amazed, and they allowed him to enter. And then there was a woman, a singer, and they asked her if she can sing, and she started singing a beautiful song. They were amazed, and they allowed her to enter this gateway. And then there came a Zen monk, and these gatekeepers were looking at him a bit strange, like what to do with him. So they asked him, "Do you know what Zen is?" And he became confused. He became a bit, shaky and anxious. He had no idea what to do, like what to say. And this gatekeeper said to him, "It's not the time yet." So the point of this story was to tell people, actually to remind them, look, you're not practicing spirituality to be spiritual. You don't come into a monastery to meditate or to dress like a monk, to be one of them, but to learn the value of it. That's what Zen means. Not to be like a monk or not to meditate for the sake of meditation, but to learn the value of it, right? That's why an artist was accepted, because he learned the value of creative process. It led him to an authentic journey of life, and he was worthy of heaven. A singer came, she learned the value of creative expression, and she was worthy of heaven. So nowadays there's a lot of talk about these spiritual traps, where we may become a part of a community, and then in order to be accepted, or having a hope to be accepted or fitting in, we start dressing certain way, we start using certain words, we start believing certain things, and also blaming certain more mystical forces for circumstances and all of that. But you see, it's really not what you define yourself by, but the value behind it. What value a certain spiritual community can give you, so you can implement it in your personal life and make it better. It's always about the value, so you can live more authentic experience. So sometimes we need to be aware of these traps. They say you wake up from the matrix into a matrix of awakened people, and then you're still in the matrix. Just another one that has a different language and different practices and attitudes and so on. So I want to read to you something. I needed to write it down, and look how old school I am. I'm still writing down by hand. I wrote it down. It was a saying by another great teacher. He said, "As much as you are a member of anything, you should concentrate earnestly on your training. If you don't, you will be unwittingly sowing the seeds of your own shame and disgrace. So we may wonder what kind of training he was talking about, but he was talking about the training of being human. What does it mean? Well, sometimes we think we need to be a certain way to be more spiritual, but you are already spirit. There's only a question, how can I train my humanness so I can bring more of the spirit in this human form? So I can share more of this with the world. Sometimes I say to you, share more of your light. I don't mean to share the light, the actual light. I mean to share more of you. You're already enlightened. The question is, how well can you express it? But we can't express what we haven't trained, right? Our brain is wired to be who we've been until now. And if it's not allowing us to live a well, creative, authentic lives, then it means we need to rewire the brain. And the brain is rewired through practice, to training. So we need to ask ourselves, what are the qualities of us that could be trained, that could be practiced? We are the most adaptable creatures. You're the most adaptable creature. How can we train adaptability? You see, Bruce Lee said, be like water. Water is not escaping anything. It always finds a way to get through. It shapes the environment. It's not, it moves through it. It doesn't escape circumstances. It moves through them. It shapes the stream. You see, here we have rocks. We are on the beach, and you will find holes in these rocks. That's what water does. You would say a rock is so much stronger than water. It's harder than water, but water can shape holes into a rock through consistency. So training is a consistent practice of something that makes your life better. And for that, you can hold on to any beliefs that you want, but it doesn't matter. You can dress any way you want, but it doesn't matter. You can blame anything you want, but it doesn't matter. It's all about what you do. It's all about what you do. Even you can eat almost anything you want, but it doesn't matter if you don't manage your inner world, the way you manage stress. That often comes out of this need for fighting, because we don't know how to adapt. And it comes out of attachments. Like Buddha said, the attachment is the root of all evil, right? Because we are not adaptable. You see, adaptability means constant change. It's a constant evolution, learning from circumstances. And when we don't know how to find lesson in something, you are not alone. Talk with someone who can give you a different perspective. It's all adaptability. Put your ego aside and pretend or admit that you don't know. We just don't know everything. If we would know everything, we would not be here. So be aware of these spiritual matrices and notice that your life is a constant training. You're here to train your body, to learn to set habits, to set routines, to make your mind sharp, to listen to your emotions, and to find the stream of life that science now calls the flow state, the zone. So we need to learn to structure the habits that will nourish us, not destroy us. And habits, well, if they are rooted in blame, then they will constantly be creating destruction in your life. If they are rooted in curiosity and clarity, and courage and wisdom, well, then these habits will become constructive for your character, and then your character will truly become a spirit in body. So the whole purpose of spiritual evolution was always to adapt your personality to your soul, but not, sometimes people have beliefs around what their soul is, so they adapt their personality to these beliefs, and then they hold on tightly to these beliefs, and then if you say something that's not in alignment with what they believe to be true, they will fight with you. And that's how wars have been created, right? That's why we fight with one another. Not because of resources, because of beliefs. Those are all, spiritual matrices. A belief is invisible force. You can't touch it, you can't see it. It's only rooted in the brain. And when you come across spiritual teachings, always ask yourself what's the value behind it. Not how they dress, not how they talk, not even what kind of words they say, but what's the value behind it. Because value is compounding, right? So your soul is almost like a bank of wisdom. And when you learn the value of something, you get richer. You become more abundant, right? And then value will create more value. Like when you have more value, you can share it, and it will also make you more money. So value is everything. And that's, I think, where we need to create a detachment from how things look on the surface and what they're actually carrying inside. Like, the Trojan horse story. Like what's actually inside of the thing. What's inside of the book. What's inside of this knowledge. How can it help me? Not how can I present myself to the world so they will see me in that certain way, but what kind of value I have to offer. So all these matrices can easily trap us because they give us a false sense of stability. Like, if you will be this way, then you will be accepted, and when you're accepted in a community, it gives you a feeling of being seen and heard, and it gives you a sense of stability. And it's completely okay. It's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you like doing it, it's fine. But when it becomes a cause of fighting, or you're constantly being offended because of your identity or whatever, then it's time to question it. And actually ask yourself, okay, what I've learned here that actually helped me, and not just, how it changed me on the surface. Like, you've changed your diet or clothes or whatever. I always looked at spirituality more as an art. That's also how ancient people looked at it. Like alchemy, for example, it was an art and it was a science. And you see, one problem that happens in art is when people start copying others. It's not a problem, it's how we learn and grow. But when we're constantly just copying one another, then there's no new stuff, right? No new creations, and suddenly words lose meanings, and all these creations will lose value. So suddenly we come to the point where no one look at this thing seriously anymore because there's no value in it anymore. It's time for an upgrade, right? So yeah, I think, in spirituality there's so many different fields, but many times what we lack is authenticity. And authenticity is not, it doesn't come out of copying something else. It comes out of how well can you express yourself. And when it comes to self-expression, then it comes to deep knowing of yourself, like what really fits your soul. And where can you really express the most of your qualities? Through what kind of medium, through what kind of tool, and what really, becomes an extension of you. So I say there's nothing wrong with any spiritual practice or any of that. I just feel that when we're exploring, new ways, like maybe you found your job boring and you found out something more mystical, more interesting to you, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we need to explore all kinds of things, but then eventually it may kind of trap us into another identity, like now I'm this. Like now I'm this spiritual teacher, now I'm this guru, now I'm this and that and whatever. For me, I've never defined myself like being a YouTuber or being a spiritual teacher or any of that. I rather say to myself, I'm an artist. Because artists are these creative beings that are constantly adapting to new things, and for one period an artist can be a rapper, and then for another period an artist can be a singer, and then for another period he can become a writer and a poet and a painter and all of that, right? It's a constant adaptability, and that's what spiritual life is all about. It's exploring your spirit, not just attaching yourself to something supposed to be spiritual and then being defined by it. That's the problem we have in the society now, where people just want to belong to something. You haven't come here to belong to it. You've come here to upgrade it. You've come here to upgrade the game of life, to bring something fresh, something new, something unique. And I think when we return back to simplicity, we start understanding this, because that's how my journey started. Like me and Maya, we quitted our jobs. We have sold most of our things. We packaged everything into our car and we went to travel. And we've been traveling. We said we will be traveling as long as we find out what we truly want to do with our lives. And then we've been through all this process of darkness and losing all the money and sleeping in the car and all of that. So we've returned back to simplicity, out of our minds and back into our hearts, where you recognize, well, if you really want to live in content with life, you need to have faith in life. You need to have faith in creation, trust in God or whatever force you believe. And you need to recognize that there is a stream to it, logos, right? The ancient word logos, which explains this cosmic order of events. And from more intellectual perspective, it explains wisdom, courage, moderation, justice, all of that, right? Not in belief systems, but in the heart. And heart will not open if you stay in your beliefs, if you stay in your mind. That's the trap of any matrix, anything. But to be in the heart, well, be willing to be challenged by life. Be willing to be broken by life. Be willing to be pushed through hell so you learn to ascend from it. Be willing to lose things because that's how you will gain life. So don't fall for it. It's completely fine, like, go through whatever you need to go through. Nothing is wrong with any practice, as long as it serves you, as long as it is freeing you, not limiting you. So I will leave you here. I hope you found something valuable today. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. Be powerful, my friend, and find that path that will make your life interesting. Thanks to everyone for choosing to support my art. You can find all of my paintings on AttractPassion.com, and yeah, it's a store, Attract Passion. You will find prints of my art, you will find some of the original paintings, some other products like shirts and mugs and all kinds of great stuff. We're constantly, designing new things because that's what we love to do. And also thanks to everyone for joining our Patreon community for more exclusive content. You're welcome there to the community, and yeah, till next time, I hope you've enjoyed in today's scenery. We are on the beach just at the time of the sunrise. So we are early today, loving it. And yeah, see you in the next one. One love.